I'm Elizabeth Lynch, a graduate student here at West Virginia University, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Life at the Land Grant, a Davis College podcast. The Davis College envisions a world sustainably fed, clothed, and sheltered. This podcast aims to highlight outstanding faculty, staff, students, and alumni that are opening doors to new opportunities and making an impact in our mountain state and beyond. So without further ado, let's bring on our next guest and learn more about their life at the land grant. I'm excited to have with us today Dr. Mike Strager, who is a professor of resource economics and management. Good morning, Dr. Strager. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story. We're really excited to have you on this podcast today. And I say resource economics, and I'm sure people kind of tune out just a touch. But when I spoke with you the other day, I was really excited about this topic. You're so enthusiastic about your job and what you're doing, and you're able to explain this so well. So what I wanted to know is, why did you choose this field? Because I think your excitement for this topic gets everyone else around you excited. So what really led you into this?
Okay, well, so you just put a lot of pressure on me to be interesting and exciting and to capture people's interest. Well, I guess I'll start off by saying that I've always just enjoyed ranking, kind of prioritizing things, top 10 lists. I don't know, maybe just a strange kind of interest of mine in the past, but just how we make decisions with sometimes, well, a lot of times limited or incomplete information has always kind of just intrigued me. And that's especially true for natural resource data or issues or questions or problems that require sampling or some type of analysis of information. So kind of the value of information and the trade-offs that the information, once we do acquire it, have in decision-making processes has always kind of just intrigued me. So I really didn't get into resource economics for being interested in money or the values of things like that are bought and sold in markets. I was more interested as an economist, really looking at that question in terms of trade-offs. And the natural resource economics field really provided a great foundation and framework for how to analyze questions and problems that have these trade-offs that exist them, and then ways we measure them for analyzing those trade-offs is kind of how I got here.
There are a lot of people who are very, I don't even know if this is the right word, but puzzle-minded, who enjoy kind of figuring out pieces of the puzzle and where to place things. Did you enjoy things like that growing up, putting puzzles together and doing like the word problems or things like that?
Yeah, I guess so. I was a fan of those type of games. There was this one called Boggle, I guess, and played a lot of Scrabble growing up and things like Rubik's cubes and so on. But yeah, I guess I like messy problems. I like messy things that are big kind of questions, and then you have to break them down into individual parts that maybe you have a little bit of information on, and then how those parts end up going together to give you insight into a problem is has always been kind of fascinating to me, especially in the natural resource field, because a lot of times those things that we measure in natural resources aren't bought and sold in markets. So there are a lot of non-market benefit estimation techniques and things are critical to try to say, what's the value of these things that we all know and love, but then being able to have a value associated with them to be able to make decisions and appropriate trade-offs and policies from them.
Yeah, I think that's why I like you. I like the way your mind works. You've been with WVU since 2006. What path led you to working here at West Virginia?
So I grew up in Pittsburgh, and it was funny because I never really thought about West Virginia too much, or it wasn't very far from where I grew up. I grew up in a river town called McKeesport, which is similar kind of Morgantown. And it was strange because West Virginia just seemed like a place that we didn't really talk about too much or didn't really hear too much about, and so on. And so it wasn't really it wasn't on my radar for really a long time until I was at Penn State as an undergrad, and I heard a seminar from a faculty at WVU that I went to and got to talk to him afterwards. And one thing led to another, and I got curious about it, came down here to check out, see what Morgantown was all about. I actually went to grad school here from that initial kind of introduction by the faculty person while I was at Penn State. And really liked what was here, what was opportunities. So I went to grad school here. And then after finishing grad school, there was a job opportunity I applied for. And they often tell you you shouldn't go to grab a faculty position in the same place you had a PhD from. But it made sense for me for a lot of things that I wanted to do, and also because of family in the area, and then also for other opportunities to analyze things spatially, doing things a little bit unique and different than others. So I felt like it was a neat opportunity for me to make an impact here. And that's why I chose WVU. And it's been a great opportunity for me here, and it's been a great career. I've had a lot of fun, worked with a lot of great people. And it's great because it's a place where it's big enough to have the opportunity to make a difference, and small enough also to see those differences come into play. And that's been fun over I guess the almost 25 years I've been here then.
Yeah, West Virginia is, I think, great for something like that. There's so many opportunities here in the state, but like you said, it's just small enough to kind of have that family atmosphere and be able to grow in the way that you want to. And I think it's also kind of neat how that one interaction led you down this path that you're on right now. That one small interaction, that one conversation led you here to West Virginia. So I think that's pretty neat. And
yeah, no doubt. And I always think about that too when talking with students, because I feel like there's always that one person that might open up a particular door for you. And boy, it really happened for me. And so I always think about that whenever I'm advising students, and just letting them know of different opportunities and things, because a lot of it is just knowing what's out there, knowing what's available. And that's a key thing, to just have the right conversation at the right time in someone's life.
absolutely, that door might open for you, but you've got to be willing to walk right through it. When we spoke the other day, you talked about your research and all of the work that you've done, and I felt that it was extremely multifaceted. You do a ton of incredible things. So let's kind of start at the very beginning. Explain what GIS is and what spatial analysis is. That's a very broad thing to explain in such a tiny sentence, but if you can do that, let's see.
Sure. So, it's funny, GIS and spatial analysis. I remember I was talking to a family member. They're asking just what I do, and I was trying to explain it and so on. And the response was, it kind of sounds like astronomy. But so I kind of like that. That was pretty cool. I think astronomy is awesome. So, what I do with GIS and spatial analysis is very simply, it's a way to analyze locations. And location matters in so many things in fields that we do. You hear that saying, I guess, in real estate, it's location, location, and location. And growing up as a kid, I was in the back seat of the car. I was always looking at paper maps. I was always curious about where I was, trying to find myself on that paper map, and what was coming up next on the road we were traveling and so on. So I always had this kind of spatial awareness. Loved being out in the woods, loved navigation, loved working with compasses and things like that. So I always had this kind of inherent kind of spatial awareness, and realizing what was interesting out there in terms of proximity or distances, or just different ways we analyze things spatially. And I've always had this very generalist interest too in many different things. So I had a really tough time picking an undergraduate major, because every time I took a class, I liked it better than the previous one. I thought it was more interesting than the other one. So just additional interest that I had in different things, I think just really led me to where I am now. And what I loved about GIS and spatial analysis is that so many things are spatial. So I get invited to a lot of conversations and meetings because of my ability to analyze spatial data in that particular way. And it's really enabled me to work on many different things regarding natural resources, with forestry, with wildlife, with water resources, with planning, with conservation. It's just been a really great tool that I've used in many different interdisciplinary problems. And it's exactly what I want to do. I'm not one that can do just one thing all the time, or work in one area. So I just love to learn about different things. And this tool set of being able to analyze spatial locations, so to speak, has really enabled me to do a lot of different things and fun things too.
Oh, I'm sure. Now, how is this work that you're doing with GIS and spatial analysis, how is that being applied to help people of West Virginia or our natural resource system here in West Virginia?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you, I guess, two examples. One of them is kind of an older one that I was fortunate enough to be able to contribute on. And if you remember, it's probably about it was 2016. It was January 2016. We had this chemical spill on the Elk River, right upstream of Charleston, and it led to a major water quality problem in 9 counties. Over 200,000 people couldn't even use their water for cleaning their hands, washing their hands. It gave you a rash. You couldn't use it for drinking. Businesses closed. Schools were out for months. It was a really bad thing. It was on national news and so on. And one of the things that I was able to help in that particular incident was to create these time of travel models to look at how water travels in our rivers and streams to the surface water intakes, which is where a lot of our water, drinking water, comes from in West Virginia. So these 5-hour travel times, I helped to delineate these zones of critical concern to look at these above ground storage tanks that were within those ranges of that 5-hour travel time within a stream and river buffer as well. So helping that process to protect our water system in West Virginia was a very, very interesting and rewarding research work that I did. And it was challenged in court, and the ruling was in our favor. So it was a very rewarding process to see that science and research be put in place to help our water community throughout the state.
Wow.
The other example I would say that has been neat to work on, it's a recent one, and that is to look at all of our former mine lands in the southern coalfields of West Virginia, not necessarily as liabilities, but for opportunities for future development. So the different former mine lands have different phases of reclamation that has occurred on them. Sometimes a lot, sometimes not much at all. And we're looking at a process to analyze them spatially to determine which areas are the most favorable for certain type of developments to occur, whether that's industrial park, whether it could be renewable energy from solar and wind opportunities, even recreation or geothermal and other categories of post land use from their former mine lands to more of a sustainable mine land. Is a fun project we're working on, and it really kind of hits home too. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I remember the steel mills closing as someone growing up, and a lot of family and friends, neighbors, they had opportunities to do other things because it was a populated area. Our southern coalfields are not populated, don't have that intensity of population that an industrial place like Pittsburgh would have. So the opportunities are more limited, more sparse, and spread out. So having that opportunity to work on a project like that has also been pretty rewarding to essentially try to find some additional opportunities and ways for those southern coalfields to be developed.
Absolutely. So you're not only helping, the environment in that area, but you're also helping the people of West Virginia grow and develop as well. So that's a really exciting thing. When we talked the other day, you described that as a coalfield Zillow, essentially. So people are able to kind of hop on that quote unquote Zillow and figure out what coalfield might work best for them and their business or their development purposes. So that's a really cool idea and a great way to expand West Virginia opportunities as well. Incredible.
Yeah, it's been pretty neat. Just the same way that people look at ways to search for different properties for, say, like you said, with the Zillow, with home values of size, number of bedrooms, close to schools and so on. We're looking at these former mine lands in terms of, distances to the power line grids, population within the vicinity. Is there good road access? What's the slope and aspect of the site look like? How much of it is currently forested? How much of it is maybe in low grassland might be easier for development to occur? The telecommunications part, where is there good internet coverage for business development and so on with those areas? Where areas are out of the floodplain, and where are other areas that are less likely for landslides or other more natural resource issues that might occur for development on one place versus another. So yeah, anything that we can do as part of that process, I feel, to remove uncertainty or add additional information to make those business decisions easier to make with less uncertainty, definitely helps in that process.
You've been speaking a lot about GIS and spatial analysis, and you've spoke to me before about how you can receive a GIS certificate as a student here at West Virginia University. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the certificate's been in place since 2016, and it's been really in response to industry was telling us that we're really interested in having people have these skills with their other disciplines. And so being able to analyze locations, analyze data spatially is the goal of the certificate. And it really enables people to apply for positions that are looking for not just technicians, but that next level of an analyst. And those complement a lot of our natural resource fields very well, that particular skill set. So the graduate certificate is something that can be started as an undergrad, and I've got a lot of undergrads currently pursuing this, and also existing graduate students as kind of that kind of official stamp on their transcript to say, yes, you can analyze spatial data at an advanced level. And it's also able and open for students to enroll in this graduate certificate that are not here on campus in a completely online format too. So we have a bunch of students across the country that are fun to get to know and meet as part of the certificate, taking this that are in a completely online format.
That's incredible because students outside of the university or anybody who might be in the workforce and are looking to advance themselves can hop into this program at West Virginia University, utilize it, and then gain future career success through this. So that's an incredible opportunity for people of all ages to maybe opt for in order to have a better position moving forward. So that's an incredible opportunity. We've spent a lot of time speaking about GIS and spatial analysis. So I kind of wanted to shift gears. I mentioned before that your work is very multifaceted. Can you tell me about another research project that you've done that maybe is outside of that GIS and spatial analysis realm?
Sure. So I think that some of the things that I've done with the value of information and the cost to acquire information, you know, you hear a lot now about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on, and we have the opportunity to essentially have data sets that we never had before years ago in terms of the size of them, the frequency, the distribution over very large, expansive areas. So I'd say that one of the things I'm really working on is how we use some of these huge data sets and analyze that data spatially to make decisions regarding how best to incorporate that location element into the decision-making process. So an example would be, say, for observations just from our phone, you look at that in regards to recreation. Where people are going can be mapped very physically now because of phone records. So why do people visit certain parks, recreational areas, or even assets within those parks areas? How much time do they spend at one particular site versus another? Maybe the particular impact that places on the resource. We don't want to have places that are overused in terms of maybe decreasing quality of that particular natural resource of people that are going to that place to look at and see and participate in. So a lot of things regarding kind of user capacity I'm looking at now, as well as the spatial components with that, and just analyzing user data or observation data that is available also as well.
A lot of research opportunities for graduate students or undergraduate students to kind of help you with. Do you have a large graduate student following right now?
We do. I work closely with a natural resource analysis center, which is an applied geospatial center in our Davis College. And we have undergraduates that work for us, as well as graduate students on a variety of different projects. One of the probably more popular projects that the students like to work on is we have a pretty active drone program. So we use our drones for a lot of natural resource analysis and assessment. So students can take drone classes as part of the Natural Resource Analysis Center and get certified to fly the drones and use them for different processes, for anything from their own recreational use or for making money with them. We have a lot of opportunities that are related to the energy and gas industry, also with real estate, people using drones to analyze that spatial perspective of different areas. So it's a pretty fun application, and there's careers and neat things with that geospatial data analysis and collection.
So say that I'm an incoming student. I am a freshman or a graduate student or somebody who's interested in the program. Can you bullet point? You've talked about multiple exciting opportunities. Could you give me 3 bullet points of some of those top exciting opportunities in your mind that a student can take advantage of in the natural resource, and whether that's at the Natural Resource Analysis Center or through your resource economics and management division?
Okay, sure. So let's see. I would say, for an incoming student, definitely take advantage of a lot of the clubs and organizations that exist within the Davis College. Those are great places to meet similar-minded people. They usually have a faculty advisor who can also guide a lot of the learning as part of that work as well, and fun parts as well. I'd also say that the Natural Resource Analysis Center at WVU, definitely reach out to us and look at some of the work we do as part of on our website and opportunities we have with that. I think that's a great way to get introduced to this geospatial work that we do, and very applied work as well. And you also gain a lot of information that's very, I think, parallel to your learning in classroom. So as part of that classroom learning, being involved with something like the Natural Resource Analysis Center, I think also kind of complements that learning process really well. And then you asked me for a third thing. So the third thing I would have to say is probably just to be curious in everything that you do, and ask questions. Talk to those professors afterwards about a lecture topic they just did or talked about. We definitely like to talk about the field that we chose, and we're always interested in hearing from curious and interested students that maybe have a similar interest to something that we just presented. So that's always a good thing too. So yeah, I would say the clubs, organizations, the NRAC, and then also just staying curious in all you do are pretty good things to always try to follow.
Absolutely. And you talked about that in the beginning of this podcast. It's keeping your opportunities open, keeping your doors open, and of course, being willing to walk through that door. So being able to ask questions is a huge part of that, and just having that interaction with those around you. So those are great things that all students can take advantage of. So thank you for sharing that. All right. So our next question is about teaching. You are a professor. What classes do you teach? And then what do you think is your favorite class to teach?
Oh gosh. So I teach quite a few classes. Let's see. So I teach an RESM 444, which is an advanced GIS class in natural resources. I really like that one. I also co-teach a class called spatial hydrology at the graduate level. That's with my colleague Nicholas Zeg. And I also teach a graduate spatial analysis class, and then also a geospatial modeling graduate class. And I also manage the capstone class for the graduate certificate in GIS and spatial analysis. So yeah, a lot of teaching, but I like it. That's what I signed up for, and so it's good.
You get your hands in a lot of different pies. Is there a certain class that you think is your favorite one to talk about?
Yeah, I would say the undergraduate class, the advanced GIS class. And it's for people that kind of already have taken the introductory foundations course in GIS. And so they know what they're getting into, but so that's good that they decided they like this whole GIS thing. And so we can really jump and dive into some advanced topics in that class. And then I think what makes it so fun is that they start to see how they can use this technology and answer questions in their particular fields of study. So getting in to some, like, for example, for the wildlife and fisheries students that are in the course, getting into some of the wildlife modeling that we do that has spatial components, home range analysis things, conservation related issues. That's really fun because they see the courses that they've had previously, how it lines up with what I'm doing and how it contributes, but then also how this adds additional functionality and capability to what they already know how to do in that additional context. So that's a lot of fun to see those kind of lights go off and that interest and curiosity. And people say, wow, this is definitely what I want to do. I want to integrate this in with my particular major and pursue a career doing this.
I think that's the best part about doing any sort of teaching is watching that immediate light go off in their head and think, okay, they actually understand what I'm talking about, or, oh, hey, they're really, really grasping this, or they really love what I'm talking about. That's always I think the best part about teaching anything. So it's pretty cool to hear from multiple different professors that they kind of feel the same way. So that's really exciting. I wanted to ask, what do you think is the most challenging thing about working in the field that you work in?
Well, that's an easy one. I would say there's so much going on in this particular field. And what I mean by that is not only do you have advances that occur all the time, it's difficult just to keep up to date with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be engaged as someone that's, reading the journal articles, someone that's going to the conferences, someone that's learning from workshops and other seminars that are going on. And it's a little overwhelming at some point because it's just kind of like information overload.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to pick your kind of tracks within this field of what you can really focus on. So in my case, in my example, I'm really interested in water resources and spatial analysis with water resources in terms of rivers, streams, waterways, and so on. So that's kind of been my area to focus on and look at specifically. I'm quick to admit that there's a lot of things that I still need to get caught up on and know more about in terms of this whole area, but it's fun that way. There's always something to learn, always something that keeps me curious and interested in, and it's something that I'm always learning. So in no ways have I just ever determined that I've got this figured out or that's all I ever need to know in this area. It's definitely continuing learning all the time in this field.
What's neat is you took that challenging thing and turned it into something absolutely incredible in terms of being able to stay curious and stay wondrous in your field. So I wanted to ask on the flip side of that, of the challenging thing, what do you think is the best thing about working in your field?
I think just the ability to just do different things, and it's never the same thing. I rarely have a project that's similar to what I did in the past, and that keeps it fresh, that keeps it new. And also I think the ability to be able to analyze and work on something that has some local impacts, and you can see how people are using this and help them make decisions and to kind of advance that particular goal or objective of that organization area and so on. So that's been a fun part of it. Really talking maybe more about something related to a planning process and how my piece really helps in that planning process for optimization for siting or analysis of one area versus another. So that's also a very rewarding part of this field as well.
I hope people who are listening at home are also as excited about all of this as I am. And I'm sure that there are people who are listening who are thinking about maybe starting a career in this or wanting to take this pathway into GIS and spatial analysis or resource economics. What advice would you want to give to those who want to start working in GIS and spatial analysis?
Well, I would say that one of the things that makes this field I think very rewarding is just having a curiosity about location. I think really helps. If you like maps, not just static maps, but like the relationships between different features. And that's not everybody. I know I have got some friends that never want to look at navigation or never want to look at having to make those decisions themselves. But if you have a curiosity in those areas, I think it's very rewarding. I also think that having an interdisciplinary background, something that you know a little bit about a lot of different things really helps. And that's always been my situation in terms of just how I felt like I've learned and how I've proceeded in kind of education in different things is that I never dived into one thing solely. I've always liked having interdisciplinary and more of a general background on many different things, and it's been kind of fun that way.
I think it's neat. Everybody that you speak to in the agriculture or natural resource field, they seem to have that interdisciplinary background. They know a lot about a lot of different things. So jack of all trades kind of situation when you speak to people in these fields. It's an incredible thing, an incredible skill to have. My last question for you would have to be, what makes your life at the land grant so special or so impactful?
So I think because it's a major research universities with a great tie to the state and region, and that does and has the opportunity to do amazing things. I really like working at a place that's large enough to make some real differences across the state and region, but also it's small enough to have that you're linked to people and communities. And the natural resource assets of this area were a huge draw for me, not only to work here, but also personally. It has been very rewarding. So not only for working, but then also recreating here in an overall lifestyle has definitely been key. It's just amazing to me and such a privilege I feel to be able to do work and projects on streams, rivers, and lakes because of the same place that I like to be wading in for fishing or paddling along or floating or swimming or skiing on. So that's been a great opportunity and a great plus for being here at West Virginia University.
I definitely couldn't have said it better. I think Davis College provides so many different opportunities for its professors, its faculty, and its students, as well as the state of West Virginia as a whole. So I couldn't have put that better. Thank you very much for taking the time to share your story and share what you do. If somebody is interested in contacting you, how could they do so?
Yeah, sure. I always like to hear from prospective students and as well as existing and past students as well. That always makes this fun. So any ways to reach out to me through the Davis College website, all my contact information is there. And I always like to see people stop by in person too. In my offices to have meetings and talk about future plans or things that they're doing and so on. So yeah, it's all good.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. I actually spoke with a couple of different students who graduated from the Natural Resources Division a couple of years ago, and they actually spoke about you specifically and gave me glowing reviews. And they were super excited when they heard that I was having a conversation with you and talking with you about what you do. So you have made an impact on so many different students' lives. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for giving your time to the people of West Virginia.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, but this was the first time I've been on one. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time. Your questions were great. I just want to end also by saying thank you, Elizabeth, for all you do representing our state, university, and college so well.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I love my job and I definitely love what I get to do. So that is the end of our show. Tune in next time to learn more about the WVU Davis College and our life at the land grant.